And of course, I was interested as an interested parent. I would go to the school and check on them, and they knew that I would do it.
And Jackie studied hard enough to go all the way to be one of those included in, I think you mentioned, Who's Who in the USA as far as students go.
Yes, that's correct. Vicki made Who's Who among American high school students. And then after that, Jackie was just determined that she'd like to make it too. And it consists not only of the academic aspects, but the community work and your activities at school. And she was very active anyway, so she was lucky enough to make it.
Jackie continued hot on the trail of her older sister Vicki's accomplishments. Vicki is at Hampton College studying for her teaching degree in elementary education. Jackie had been thinking a year ago of joining Vicki at Hampton, but Jackie's educational plans took a detour when her hard work in school paid off with the scholarship. We asked Vicki if her younger sister measures up to her concept of what a good student should be.
Oh, yes. She likes to have her fun, but she also thinks her books are important.
She didn't spend as much time with the books as you did. Did that surprise you that she didn't more or less follow in your footsteps?
No. Ever since we've been little, she's had her own way of doing things, and I have too, but we've gotten along surprisingly. You know, she's got her own interests, but a few things overlap, like music, for instance, and we both played the piano, and we took ballet, and we were in Girl Scouts together, so, you know.
Did you ever try to influence Jackie in any way as far as her studies or her extracurricular activities?
Not really. I just, you know, picked my own interests, and some of them she liked and saw the things that I was doing and wanted to do them.
Of course, just like Vicki, Jackie has come upon a great deal of independence during her first year at college. She's been away from home a good deal of the time, and even though it's not much of a surprise to hear her say she is enjoying her new freedom, Jackie says she still must exercise a certain degree of caution.
Up here, you're really on your own, so you have to discipline yourself. You have more responsibilities to yourself, to your studies, to your family. My father says I don't know the value of money. I'm a compulsive shopper, and I call home about every week. I need money. So, well, there's so many things that you want, and there's so many expenses at college. It's just little things that add up, and so I'm not very good at budgeting.
Heck with the
Although
studies,
Jackie's father may not see her as adept at stretching her allowance, he says that doesn't lessen his pride in her and the good example she is setting for her three younger brothers. Hubert Robinson says Jackie's brothers were inclined to tease her about winning the scholarship at first, probably because they were a little envious. Nonetheless, he says they don't live in her shadow. To the contrary, Hubert says his three sons heed his advice to be their own person.
Each one may have something to offer or what they would like to be. This is what they should strive for.
What about the things they want to do? Which way do they seem to be headed?
Well, now like Mandel, you know, he's my oldest son. His desire to be a professional football player. Now, my oldest daughter is an elementary school teacher. This is her desire. Jackie, she likes the limelight, more or less. Radio and TV, this is her thing. And now my two younger boys, well, I don't think they've established themselves as yet or what they really want to be. Now, Eric, he's the second to my oldest boy. He's in the Explorers at General Motors. More or less, they take young people out of high school or start training them to be engineers. Now, he says he likes this, but I don't know if this is what he really wants. And my youngest son, he doesn't know yet of what he wants to do.
You mentioned you were hopeful that Jackie, to use your expression, would pave the way. What did you mean?
Well, by paving the way, I mean being successful, or if being a news correspondent, if this is what she really want to do to show that other blacks will be able to can do the same thing as she has had the opportunity of receiving that scholarship and making good of that scholarship.
So not necessarily just for the members of the family, an example, but for blacks everywhere.
That's true. That's right. And I think this one step forward for black and white. If you don't have the funds to attend Syracuse University and have an opportunity to go on a scholarship and make good of it, this builds up hopes for others not so fortunate. That maybe one day they might be fortunate enough in winning a scholarship to do the same thing as she has started out.
It appears that Jackie's brother Mandel is going to be a fortunate scholarship winner too. Although he may have gotten his cue to strive for a scholarship from Jackie, Mandel, in keeping with his father's advice, is going about securing a scholarship in his own way. In spite of the fact that he likes playing basketball a great deal more than football, Mandel has had the foresight to realize he's a much better football player. In fact, as a running back, Mandel garnered numerous trophies, including a game ball for setting a high school rushing record that still stands. Mandel told us why he chose to go for a scholarship through athletics rather than academics like Jackie did.
We are two different people. I mean, very different. She's got her set of values and I've got mine. And we go our own ways.
What about the scholarship now? You mentioned before that you were responsible enough to realize that there wasn't going to be enough money to send 3 people to college all at the same time. You kind of struck out on your own.
Well, being the way things are now, I knew that 3 of us being in college at the same time would be rough on my parents, and we still got 2 younger brothers here. And so I always had a great interest in sports, and so I've tried to do my best. And I hope to get one.
At this point, it looks as though Mandel's dream of getting a scholarship is sure to come true. He already has 3 offers from top college football organizations who probably would gladly extend a full scholarship for the likes of a football player who can move down the field like Mandel Robinson. And speaking of moving down the field, Jackie is no one to take a back seat. The trophies on the mantel in the Robinson home are not all Mandel's. A number of them are Jackie's. For Jackie set a few high school records of her own participating in girls' track. A little disappointed because her hopes of organizing girls' track competition between dormitories on the SU campus didn't pan out, Jackie still likes to work out and talk about her beginning days of running track.
In junior high school, they had the presidential's patch thing and everybody had to perform and do this. This is something that was required of everybody in school. It
was the president's physical fitness achievement badge or whatever it was.
Right, which I have several. And I did very well in it. You had to run in it and you had to jump and exercise and whatever. And I ran very well, and I guess that's where I got started running track.
From there you got interested in the short distance events, the dashes and so forth.
Right. Which doesn't seem to parallel because I have long legs, which means that I should be running long distance and have a lot of endurance, but I don't. I like short distances, and I'm much better at it.
Didn't the length of your legs earn you a nickname once upon a time?
Right. They used to call me Legs in high school. They told me that they used to look like they went on forever. But it was also a disadvantage because I didn't use starting blocks to my last year of high school, my senior year. I used the standing start all this time. Because my legs are so long, it took me too long to get out of the blocks. But I finally got over that hurdle.
Why didn't you use the starting blocks? Is that something your coach taught you not to do?
I was faster. I was faster without the starting blocks, just standing up. So.
Why didn't you stick with standing up instead of going to the starting blocks then?
Well, they felt that it really wasn't fair, and I could improve my time and distance by. So I worked at it, and I finally accomplished it.
Then, in spite of the fact that you Stuck with the dashes and the shorter distances, you wound up really making a claim to fame in track statewide in the standing broad jump. How did that all come about?
Well, we came to a meet, and there was nobody to do the standing broad jump. And they just said, well, Jackie, why don't you go over there and try? And in fact, one of my competitors had to teach me how to do it, and I won it.
And Jackie went on winning until she became number 2 in the state in the women's standing broad jump, the event that she had gotten started in by accident. But believe it or not, Jackie liked marching with the high school band even more than track. Band always came first. And Jackie wasn't long at Syracuse University before she tried out for and won a majorette position with the SU band. And after some practice sessions, it was the real thing during SU football games. Jackie's life is filled with music. In addition to her work with the band, she put in over 10 years studying piano, though she jokes it was mainly at her mother's insistence. And music carries through to much of Jackie's social life on the weekends. Although it may not be a typical college weekend, a Black Freshman Special weekend last winter shows how music fills a good part of Jackie's life. It started with a dance at one of the Syracuse University dining halls. Next stop on the weekend dance circuit was a formal ball, and that took a little getting ready for. Jackie and a friend made a special gown for the formal that was sponsored by a black fraternity on the SU campus, the Alpha Phi Alpha. At the formal, dancing, dining, and a ceremonial pageant. Each year, Alpha Phi Alpha selects a number of young girls to be angels, and the selection proved to be more good fortune for Jackie.
I'm affiliated with the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity as an Alpha Angel.
It's kind of an unusual arrangement, a girl becoming associated or affiliated with a men's fraternity. How does that work out?
Well, the men put on functions during the year for social life for the black students. It is a black fraternity. And so in the beginning of the year, they select girls, and they have a tea, and they interview you, and you are therefore picked. And out of 30 girls, 13 girls were picked, and I was one of the 13.
The old competition again, if they're a winner. Huh?
Right. So I enjoy being a part of it. We help them put on parties, and we give a ball at the end of the year after putting on dances during the year that we charge a quarter or 25 cents for. And this weekend coming up, we're going to put on a picnic, which will be free, but you bring your own food.
Why no black women's sorority? Why don't you have one of your own?
They do. In fact, 2 of the sororities want me to pledge Delta or AKA. My mother was a Delta and my sister was a Delta, but I'm pledging AKA.
Oh, how do they respond to that?
Well, they said make my own choice, but I'm not pledging to next semester. I felt my freshman year I should devote most of my time to my studies, and I really wanted to seek out and look at the sororities and see what I really wanted to get into.
It's well Jackie decided to devote much of her freshman year to study, because although we have painted a rather glamorous whirlwind picture of Jackie's first year in college, don't mistake the good times to mean that college is a soft touch. College is a lot more than music, marching, and dancing. It's long hours of studying, long walks to classes, long lectures, taking exams, then more long hours over the books. Jackie says when the going gets tough, she remembers a bit of her father's advice that if she is going to do something, she might as well be the best. That advice seems to give Jackie the determination she needs to overcome the many new distractions she encounters while cracking the books.
At home, there was no disturbances. However, up here at school, your friends always drop by and telephone calls, and there's a lot of other distractions, and you're more apt to fool around.
Your mother said at home she more or less laid down strict rules, and you and your brothers and sisters understood that the studying came before the play. Do you have trouble making yourself study?
No, I know that it has to get done, and I don't like to procrastinate, so I do my work.
You spent some time out at your old high school, Cicero High School. We talked to your guidance counselor there. I was wondering if you feel that high school really prepared you for college.
They try and prepare you. Your guidance counselors give you a lot of counseling and things, but college and high school is a large step, and I don't feel that schools have really reached a point where you are prepared when you get to college. But after your freshman year, you'll know.
You were involved in quite a few extracurricular activities, track at Cicero High School, the band, and so forth. Do you find the same opportunities here at SU to do those sorts of things?
I find that you have less time to do those sort of things, but I try and make it like I am in band, and it is pushing it a little to try and be in extracurricular activities up here, you know, while you're doing your studies, because the workload at college is a lot harder.
One complaint we hear from students is that once you become a freshman in college, all of a sudden you're a number on an IBM card somewhere, a computer card, instead of more or less a closer relationship with the teachers. Do you find it like that in the classrooms here?
Right. The classrooms have anywhere from 300 to 500 students, and therefore you don't have a teacher-student relationship. You don't really get a chance to make yourself known. You're just another name or number.
I have a suspicion that before you're done here, you will become known. You were quite well known at Cicero High School. Are there other things that this first year gave you some problems or bothered you a little bit about college as you tried to adjust?
No, not really. I really enjoyed it. I like meeting the students, and there are people here at Syracuse from every walk of life, and you know, you've just lived only a part of it, and you get to experience it by living with them, talking with them, going to school with them each and every day.
With all these activities, her studies, her new friends, Jackie still finds time to fulfill something very important to her religious beliefs. Jackie has always been very active in church and still finds time each Sunday to attend services, usually with her family. She also feels that religion and the church have a very positive influence on her ability to excel both in the classroom and on the athletic field. In fact, in everything she does. Where are all her experiences leading her? Well, Jackie says right now about the only thing out of the question is marriage.
Right now I'm leaning towards my career first. I'm not really ready to settle down. I think after I graduate I want to work, I want to travel. And if I got married and wanted to raise a family, that would tie me down to responsibilities. Right now I have a little wild blood in me. I want to just get out and around and travel.
I think you mentioned that was especially true with a career, if you want to pursue a career in broadcasting.
Right, in broadcasting, as I learned in one of the lectures, they said that you had to keep late hours, you had to work weekends, which is not the ideal life for a family because you couldn't spend the time with your family when they most needed you. When you would be getting home, they'd be in the bed, and so on.
Not very good odds, giving up your weekends, holidays, working nights, and so forth. Why in the heck would you pursue a career in broadcasting?
Well, if you really like your career, that's what you want to do. It's worth giving it up.